I had to get an MRI. They come back and tell me, oh, you have a tumor on your knee. And I'm like, what? A tumor? So they're like, yep, you need to go talk to your ortho guy. So I go to talk to him. He comes into the room with a needle. I'm like, well, wait a minute, what's going on? What about the tumor on my knee? He's like, oh, that's a good story when you're at a cocktail party.
Welcome to Seriously Catherine, a podcast about taking your business seriously, but not yourself. This week's hot take is all about my girl Taylor Swift coming out with her album on Friday. I am so excited. Palette's having a album release party from 5 to 7. If any of you in the public want to attend, bring all of your Taylor Swift trivia, questions, interests, fandom, bring it to Palette. Also, I am letting Posey know that we're taking her to the Taylor Swift concert. We're telling her on Thursday, part of her French lesson with Juliana. And I'm so excited. Aileen's making bracelets. Juliana's going to do a comic book where she reveals that Posey's going to the concert in one of her lessons. I'm going to record it. Obviously, somehow I'm going to be perched in a hidden closet somewhere so that I can capture all of this. I'm so excited because I've been holding this secret for way too long. We're going at the end of May. It's going to be for her birthday is June 2nd. So the concert is on June 2nd. It's going to be her 10th birthday. I mean, it is next level exciting. We're also taking Ruby, but we're not telling Ruby. So Posey's going to have to keep it on the down low. And anyway, I'm ecstatic. And then the next day is the Taylor Swift album release party that Palette is putting on. Our social group at Palette is putting this on. At that event is going to be revealed that her math tutor is coming with us to France. So my head's exploding. I am just so excited to finally get this off my chest. Get it off your chest. That's the lyric from Taylor Swift, just so you know. I can't wait. Okay, so that's my hot take. I do have to comment that I don't even know if I'm going to be a fan of this album because it seems pretty dark and poetic and emo, which is not usually my go-to music. I pump it upbeat, positive, music. So I don't even know if I'm going to like the album, but I do like Taylor Swift. I also have to comment that she was photographed over the weekend at Coachella with Travis, and people are commenting that she's turning into Travis. Ugh, forget about that. She is her own version of thing. But there was something, wait, who's the guy, Teresa from Real Housewives? There was a picture of Teresa and Taylor Swift at Coachella, and I don't know, my brain kind of broke for a second because how are these two people hanging out with each other? But anything is possible in America. I don't know what else to say. That's my hot take. I'm excited about T Swift's concert and album coming out on the 19th. Thank you so much for being here, Jackie.
Thanks for having me.
Aunt Jackie to my girls.
Oh,
they love you.
I love them.
You spoil them.
Well, that's what an aunt does.
Yeah, well, I was actually the other day talking about how important it is to surround my girls with people who, have the same values as me, but maybe don't show up in the world as I do, So I was just saying how I really do hope that my girls run away and they run to your house or Mandy's house or, they have places that they can run away to.
Well, my door is always open, and oftentimes I tell parents, I'm going to come and take your kids. I lead by the kid is right, not the parent is right, and I know that might not be good, but I think they're so cute and adorable, and they should be able to do and get anything they want.
Yeah, well, I recognized you as a person that I could lean on the momming side when I saw how you are with Kiki and Brad and their kids and you're like another member of the family that helps facilitate.
Well, so I have one child myself who is my world, right? I tell people I don't know what it is I did right, but I got a boy and he is the best thing that ever happened. And I did it right the first time, never had to do it again. But I love kids. So I'm happy that other people allow me into their lives to share in their children.
Yeah. So speaking of other things that you love, you're obsessed with sharks.
Yes, I am.
It's your whole brand. It's what you lead with, and it's what people know you about. Some people don't even know what you actually do because they just know you as the shark lady.
Exactly. Well, I was 10 years old when Jaws came out, right? So I think I am that generation that Jaws like totally freaked you out. At the same time, Saturday Night Live had a skit called Candygram, and it was land shark, and the shark would come to your door. So as a 10-year-old kid, you could get eaten by a shark in the ocean and on land, right? Like how scary. So always, I tell people I had a fascination. Always watched Shark Week, thought it was amazing. And then I think around in the 2000s is when they did their first air jaws, which was off the coast of Africa where great white sharks breach out of the water. And here are things that can be as big as a school bus breaching out of the water. They're just like amazing. And I always root for the underdog, which my business partner says, how is the apex predator of the ocean an underdog? Well, we do way worse things to them than they could ever think of doing to us.
You have a whole philosophy about like being a shark or emulating a shark like mindset. So bring us through that.
Yeah, so I have 5 life lessons from great white sharks. The first one is that they don't swim backwards. So you should always be moving forward to the next opportunity, or you should stay out of your past, right? What's done is done, so always swim forward. The next is, and this is could be a little controversial just because there's some recent research that may say that this is incorrect, because I am not a shark scientist at all. But sharks never stop swimming, right? They constantly are moving because they need the water to go through their gills. However, the Atlantic White Shark Conservancy has footage of a big girl sitting down at the bottom of the ocean and just letting the current flow over. So is she a freak of nature, or do all sharks do that? But if you keep swimming, again, keep moving forward to whatever is in your future. Or you need to rest and take time for yourself.
Yeah.
So those are 2. Great white sharks are typically up early hunting for food, so you need to get the tough done first in the morning. Don't wait in the afternoon when you're too tired to do it. And my favorite is great white sharks are always great white sharks. They never pretend to be anything else. You should find your true authentic self and love her every day and show her to the world every day.
Yeah, and you do such a good job of that. Like I don't know. Do you realize what a badass you are?
Not every day, but I think that's normal. I would say that it probably didn't happen until I was in my 50s. And I think, like most people, I was going to turn 50, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm old, da 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 da. But I had a client that said to me it was like a light switch flipped on when she turned 50. She just didn't give a shit anymore. And not that she didn't care about people. She didn't care if she loved this dress and she wore it and you didn't like it. Oh, well. And I don't know if it was her words, what it did, but that light switch when I turned 50 flipped on as well. And now it's like you get what you get.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like, I'm sure you don't have any regrets, but like how cool it would be is if we could get to that place of like that being our authentic selves sooner.
Yeah, but I kind of struggle with that a little bit because I do volunteer with girls, and I want them to be the badass that I am right now, like at 12. Right? But sometimes you have to go through what life puts you through to become that badass, right? Maybe at 12 they haven't experienced everything that will make them really walk into that.
Did you ever feel like going through life like you couldn't wait for something substantial to happen to you so you could demonstrate your resilience and overcome the adversity? Like I sort of felt like that. I remember when I was opening up the Burlington studio, I was listening to a lot of Rich Roll, who's like this podcaster and like, you know, just an inspirational podcast guy. And he would do a lot of interviews with people that I think were inspiring, but all of them had like something horrible happen to them. And I was like, oh my God, I don't really have anything that's horrible that's ever happened to me. Like, how do I demonstrate how tough I am or you know, challenge myself or push myself to the limit, or like what is the adversity that I've overcome? You know, it's like I didn't have anything horrible happen to me.
Yeah, I don't think I've really had any big adversity or have waited for something to then show how tough I am. I guess the thing that is most like that would be in my current role, right, as a financial advisor. It is a male-dominated industry.
Wait, okay, can we stop saying male-dominated? Because they're not dominating the industry.
Well, there's a majority of men in that industry.
Yeah, there's a lot of men in the industry, but I hate when people say And I do it too. I caught myself the other day saying, and you're working in male dominant. I'm like, you know what? No, they're not dominating the industry.
Yeah.
Let's
Well,
change
that
it.
is 100% true.
What should we say about it? We should say like they just take up too much space in the industry.
Well, I think we need men too, but
We need some of them. We don't need them all.
no.
Okay, sorry, go.
No,
Sorry.
that's okay. So being in an industry where there are a lot of men, more men than women in the industry, I often tell people I'm like not your typical financial advisor, right? Like I don't have a degree in economics. I don't sit and analyze the market all day, every day. That's not my role. My role is to help people attain their goals or solve their problems, right? And that's what I love. There's way smarter people in different areas that can build a portfolio for me and monitor it and take care of it and do really good with that. But I want to build the relationship with my clients and, go through the life changes that they go through, buying their first house, putting the kids through college, retiring, right? That is something that we're all probably going to do and at different stages of our life, because I don't really think retirement is the right word any longer. I think it's more, financial independence, that you could step away from your day-to-day career to, open your own business or take care of your kids or whatever it is. But when people do that, it's the first time. Nobody's done it before, right? Like I haven't done it before. So to walk people through that and see them come in and their whole life while they were accumulating their assets, never think that they have enough, and then be a year or two into what I'll still call retirement, I guess. And then they're like, you know what? I feel really comfortable.
Yeah.
I know I can do anything. I can accomplish anything. I feel comfortable. I have what I need to live my life. Is like, wow.
And you've said this to me before, like there are some people that, some clients that you have that are more wealthy not working than they ever were working. And it's just like, you have to plan for that too.
Yep.
And what do you do with that, and how do you make it last? But I really can testify that you are the relationship builder of the team. And I think that's very rare. I don't know. It's like you were the one who really got me in the door. And thankfully so, because we were working with two dudes, bros, who very rarely spoke to me, even though I was certainly at the table, contributing to the finances. And it was always just sort of frustrating to me. And I don't think I recognized that I was not being seen or heard. At first, when we got into that relationship with them, it was just sort of like, oh, this is Mark handles this. Mark will deal with this and Mark will handle this. But as I got, more into the business and recognizing, wait a minute, like I should have a say. Not that I don't trust Mark to make decisions, but like I should be contributing to the conversation or at least acknowledged in the room.
Yeah.
And it was shortly after probably like a year or two after I met you and Brad, that I finally was like, I don't feel right in this situation, and I'm pulling out. I don't want to be in this anymore. And so you guys, and I didn't. The other thing too that it was such a myth that I didn't realize was like you can switch financial advisors. It's so much easier than it. It's like this like complicated thing.
Yeah, it's not complicated, and it's your money. It's not their money. We work with people, we advise them on what they should do, but ultimately it's your money. I can't force you to do anything, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still sad that in 2024 that women still walk into the office and, this is the first time that they've been heard. Me being a woman, I'm very, attuned to that. Brad grew up with his mom and his sister, right? They were the main women that he lived with. Of course he did.
He was influenced by.
Thank you. So that is, one of the core pieces to our business is we make sure that everybody is at the table. And there's been times, even when we ask for that to happen, the woman doesn't come to the table. And then something happens. Someone dies, there's a divorce, and now things are like, eek. Yeah.
Well, which is another point in time where you really need someone advocating and advising and supporting you through that. So this is the other thing that I love about you is that you're not a shark in a sense where like you walk into a room and you're like, okay, you need to be my client. It's like it's never felt that way. And so I'm always the first one to tell people like, she's my financial advisor and she's amazing. You should use her, and you're like, it's not really like, that's not my jam, but it's an organic, it takes time, and you only want to work with the people who are right for you.
So I'm very thankful that both Brett and I are at the level of our career that, we don't have to take on everybody. So that is nice. But we want to help people, right? Like, if there's a problem, we'll be the ones that can help you solve it. If there's no problem, there's probably not a role for us in your life, right? If things are going good, don't upset the apple cart. But if you have a problem, yeah, we're the ones for you. Just recently had an issue with a client, a tax issue, and she needed to find this information that she couldn't find for a previous tax year. We've been working on this for 3 months, and we finally got the information, and she sent me a nice text that said she was sorry that, she put me through all of this, but happy that we found the information. And I responded back to her, I'm like, there's no sorry needed, right? That's my job, is to help you. But I think you realize that, I'm not going to quit fighting until we find the answer, right? Until we have the answer. So that's what I like to do every day.
And you have the resources. So it's the other sort of point I wanted to make is that you don't have to have millions of dollars in the bank to start saving and to start planning and coordinating what's next, right? So
Exactly.
I think that's a big thing for women too. Is like, oh, well, I don't really have enough to save. I'm already like, maybe I'm living paycheck to paycheck, or maybe people just want to kick it up the road. And it's like, I really would like for more young women to get involved in that conversation early on. And yeah, maybe you don't have money to really put away, but you do. You can always carve out money to put away.
Yep, we take care of a couple of companies' 401ks locally, and Brad would always tell this story when we would go in and do education, that we have 2 clients. One is a woman in her 80s who never made more than $30,000 a year, and then we have a gentleman who's in his 50s who makes over $200,000 a year. Who do you think is the multimillionaire?
It's her.
It's her, right? Because she put away $5 every week. When she could up it to 10, she did 10. When she could do it to 20, she did 20, and she invested. She didn't leave it sitting in the savings account, although that's nice and safe and secure. She invested. And, that is the power of compounding returns over decades. The guy that made $200,000 a year, every year, or however often it happened that his salary increased, his expenses increased with it, right? He didn't put away as much until later in life. But yeah, so it doesn't take a lot. The company that I work for, Merrill Lynch, I love working for them because we can help anybody, right? So not every person that sits in front of me is probably going to become one of my clients, but I can at least get them on the right path. And the right path is having a conversation, figuring out where you are in life right now, what do you want to accomplish, and then starting again, if it's that $5. And I oftentimes see people like, okay, I'm going to put half of my paycheck away. Well, you do that, right? Payday comes, you put half of your paycheck away, and then a week later, you're dipping into that savings because you forgot about X, or you need 2 new tires on the car, or whatever it is. Something happens, life happens. Mm-hmm. We don't have to start big, right? The majority of our clients didn't come to us writing a check for millions of dollars to invest. They started small and they did it consistently. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So find somebody that you feel comfortable, talking to, that can help direct you and guide you and put you in the right spot. Keep at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think also people are afraid to open up, right? And sort of like share what a shitstorm their finances look like. I feel like I got to a point where I just didn't care what people thought. It was like, yeah, I'm broke. I don't have any money. I've got credit card debt. I got student loans. And, it is what it is. Like, but I'm here. I want to change. I want to save. I want to be smart. I got kids now. What do I do? Right? In my situation, Mark is 5 years older than me. So he had that amount of time of working, and, he's an employee. So he had, it helps to have that system. He started working and he started putting some into, was it IRA or 401k?
It's 401k,
or whatever it is?
Typically.
Yeah. So in my situation, we had that. But as an entrepreneur, I think it's really, really, you have to carve that out for yourself. You have to really figure out early on what you're going to sort of pay yourself or save first. So as an entrepreneur, or a small business owner, you really have to carve that out for yourself. I didn't start soon enough, right? I waited until things were okay and then I felt comfortable to put away. In hindsight, I should have started immediately.
Yeah, but like the shark, we can't swim backwards.
Right.
So we need to stay out of the past, and just wherever you are today, that's where you start. Because we can't change that we didn't put money away prior to this. You just start there. And everybody has a financial history, good, bad, or indifferent, right? And what's funny is, like, did your parents talk about finances to you over the kitchen table? I know my parents didn't.
I don't know if you call it talking. It was more like lively discussions, debates, arguments. I mean, I certainly knew that money was a sticking point. I wouldn't even say like it was fighting. It was just like they were passionate about it. I mean, I think money was a priority. Having it was a priority. I don't know that there was much focus on saving it because I don't think that was an option. I think also my parents think differently about it, right? Like my dad's a contractor, a home builder. He's big on like owning property, and that's a great saving mechanism and asset building. And because you could always borrow against that property to work on the next project, right? And then my mom, school teacher for this, worked for the state public school system. So she had that safety, like it's built in. I think the biggest arguments were around spending, not so much saving. I don't feel like I had a full holistic view.
So there is your history, right? There's your financial history. That's where it comes from, right? Because we don't get taught it in school.
So should we switch gears and talk about like the most recent transformation in your life?
Sure.
Which is the massive amount of weight you've lost recently.
Yes.
And
yes.
You're not using Ozempic.
No, I'm not, but there's not anything wrong with that.
Not there's anything wrong, but we'll talk about this because I think like once you tell people what you do to lose all the weight, there's judgment, no matter what.
Yeah, definitely. So that's why leading up to what I did, I didn't tell anybody, right? I told my husband, I told Brad, my business partner, his wife, because they're like my brothers and sisters, and I didn't tell anybody else. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell my son, nobody.
Oh, I didn't realize you didn't tell your parents.
I did not tell anybody because it was such a mental decision to make. I could hear my mom already without telling her in the back of my head what she would have said, and it would have made me make it probably a different decision. But once I got through that and I started on the long journey and I was in a support group with some other people and they talked about how they didn't tell anybody and still hadn't told anybody, I was like, I'm going to tell everybody, and you're either going to be like, wow, great for you, or you're going to judge me, and I really don't care, right? Because we need food to eat to sustain our existence. And it's not always the fact that I don't have willpower about what I eat. I went to the gym every day, right? And I could always lose the same 20 to 30 pounds, and then I would gain it back. So I would say coming out of COVID, I had gained back the last 30 pounds that I had lost, plus another 20. I was the highest weight I had ever been. And I was starting to have major knee issues, and they're talking about knee replacement surgery and all this stuff, plus high blood pressure, and my sugar started to kick in. So I actually had weight loss surgery. In December of 2022, I had the bypass, and my doctor explained it like every time you lose that 30 pounds, it's like a tug of war game where your body's pulling you to go back to that number that it was comfortable at, and you're trying to move it the other way. So he's like, you'll lose it. You'll lose that same 20 to 30 pounds for the rest of your life, but you're always going to go back.
Tell me what the difference is when people say they have weight loss surgery. Like, what are the options? Is it this bypass?
There's bypass, and then there is what's called the sleeve. So the sleeve is they actually go in and cut out a big portion of your stomach and take it out. The bypass is they reroute your small intestine and make like a little pouch at the top of your stomach. But my stomach's still in there. It's just not doing everything it used to do. Yeah, so it's a smaller pouch.
So it's like a detour.
It is a detour, yep.
When you were going through this after you had the surgery, I mean, it is truly a lifestyle shift change. I mean, you're like throwing your diet, your, just everything about the way you live upside down, or maybe right side up. But it's such a mental shakeup after, right? Because like, of course you got to decide to do it, but then once you do it, it's like you can no longer ever drink alcohol.
Yep. That's what my doctor says.
And
yes.
you can no longer ever have sugar?
Yes.
That in itself is like, some people just can't do that.
Exactly.
And it's like life-threatening for you to consume those things.
I would say alcohol is definitely life-threatening. Sugar, because my stomach is smaller and it metabolizes things differently, it could affect me quicker than normal people, but it's just not comfortable. I mistakenly did it like 2 months in after surgery. We were in Italy. I decided to have hot chocolate, and it was like mud. It was like melted chocolate. And I literally had a sip of it, and I thought I was going to die the rest of the night. I had like such bad stomach cramps and everything. So those types of things are like, yep, I don't need to do that ever again. The alcohol thing, not that I was a big drinker, but like, hey, you like to go out with your friends and have a couple of beers. We go to the Cape on the weekends in the summer, and you'd sit around the fire and have a couple of beers. Like, that was probably one of the bigger decisions. The fact that, you know, if I was going to do this, I was never going to drink again. And to be honest, I'm almost 2 years in, and it doesn't bother me at all. But I always keep in the back of my head, like, I altered my body to be healthier. Why am I going to go back to negative things, right?
Right.
Alcohol is empty calories. It's a lot of sugar in and of itself. And do you really feel good after you do it?
No one does.
So,
but I do want you to talk more about the support system that you've built around yourself and sort of like combating the judgment. Has anyone ever been like, "Rah, you had surgery"?
I don't think anybody has said anything to my face. You know, my tight circle.
Yeah.
Everybody's really supportive, and they see that, you know, the ultimate is that I'm much healthier, right? I'm off all of my meds except for one. I was on 7 different medications before surgery. I'm down to the lowest dose of 1. I'm running again. Do not need knee surgery. Do not have pain in my knee whatsoever.
Wow.
Once I told people, I did have a good support group, right?
Yeah.
So my immediate family, my gym, Tanya and Nate.
Yeah.
Even before surgery, they were so supportive when I was having really bad knee pain. Yeah, good support group. I think I do tell people, and they're just like, oh.
Well, some people might think like, oh, okay, well, like what not a cop out, but like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like maybe you took the easy road, but it has not been an easy road.
No, because it's not, and this is where I think even our medical field hasn't brought the two together. It's not just a physical thing, it's a mental thing. I tell people it's 20% that I have a new stomach. It's still an 80% mind game every single day. I still want to sit down and have a cheeseburger the size of my head, right, with fries, but I just can't do that anymore. Doesn't mean I don't want it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a big mind shift that you have to go through. But I did go to counseling, right? I had a nice support group. Unfortunately, we lost our counselor, but we all stay together. Like, we have a daily text. We still talk to each other and, you know, help each other through it. So.
And then how has it been with like Chuck, your husband? Like he doesn't have to abstain from sugar and beer and alcohol, and, you know, has it affected?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a little easier for us because it's just the two of us, right?
Yeah.
So if he wants to eat that for dinner and I want to eat something else, it's not a big deal that we're making 2 dinners, right? But he was very supportive. He's always supportive in any crazy idea that I have, right?
Yeah.
He's like, yep, if you want to do it, I'll be there. You know, he's had his own health issues in the last year or so I think that he's made some changes. He's retired, so he has a different schedule as well. Like, he's not even in New York right now. He's in South Carolina, but he goes to the beach every day, walks a mile or 2, goes to Planet Fitness and works out for an hour every day. So he's made changes as well.
Yeah. I want you to talk about like getting a second opinion too. When your doctor was like, okay, you need knee surgery, you didn't just take his word for it. You were like, okay, is there an alternative? And that alternative was weight loss surgery.
So weight loss, like from every doctor that I've ever been to, like losing weight is always like, you gotta lose weight. When I was 10 years old, my mom and my grandmother would go to Weight Watchers. And because they both couldn't afford to go to Weight Watchers, one of them signed up and would go to Weight Watchers and bring all the material home. And then as a family on Saturday mornings, we would get on the scale to see how much we weighed. So at 10 years old, That's what was going on in my life. And I don't fault either one of them. They were doing the best they could with the information that they had. And if I look back at pictures of myself now at 10 years old, like I had a normal 10-year-old body. I was not overweight. 10 years old, fast forward to, in my 50s, it's always been an issue with me, my weight, and I've tried every funky thing there is. So was having this knee issue, went to the doctors, had to get an MRI. They come back and tell me, oh, you have a tumor on your knee. And I'm like, what? A tumor? So they're like, yep, you need to go talk to your ortho guy. So I go to talk to him. He comes into the room with a needle. I'm like, well, wait a minute, what's going on? What about the tumor on my knee? He's like, oh, that's a good story when you're at a cocktail party. Basically, some cartilage in your growth spurt lost its way and planted on the front of your knee, and it's really not anything. But you have deterioration in your knee, and we need to give you a steroid shot. I'm like, okay. So I took the steroid shot. Didn't work. Went back to them. They started doing gel shots. And through that whole process is when I started to think about, like, listen, now it's probably time to do this.
Yeah.
Weight loss surgery. Because a doctor back in like 2008 suggested weight loss surgery, and I was offended. I was like, are you kidding me? This isn't rocket science. I can do this on my own, but I just need help.
And you got help. It's not like you weren't working out and
No.
dieting and you were doing all the shit. Like, I remember you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, go to that 5 o'clock class at max level. And I'm just like, you cray. I can't do that. I can't. I mean, I can use the kids as an excuse right now, but if there were no kids, I still couldn't get up at 5 a.m. to go freaking work out.
Yeah. So, I lost some of the weight. Knee issues started to go away a little bit, but there was still something. And I just didn't like, that they're like, oh, you're going to have to do knee surgery. So I went to a totally different doctor. He was like, yep, you have deterioration in both of your knees, but you're nowhere near knee surgery. And he said, keep doing what you're doing. You're working out, you're losing the weight. All of that, the more that you lose is going to make it better. We just need to monitor your knees and see what happens. Will you need knee surgery at some point? Probably. But who knows?
And it was really just the extra weight that was putting pressure on your knees that was causing that. So this is the other thing I want to point out is, like, I have been friends with you for years, definitely for like the last 8 years. I have never thought that you were overweight. I
never thought that in my own head.
I never was like, oh yeah, Jackie's my fat friend.
But
But do you know what I mean? Like, that thought never occurred to me whatsoever. But when I see pictures now, I was like, holy shit, you really have lost a lot of weight.
Well, I have
can't
to
even
say,
believe it.
Thank you for being my friend for 8 years, because you're the one that has all those pictures. Whenever we're together, we take a picture. I never would take pictures of myself. So thank you that I have all those memories that I'm like, holy shit.
I send them to you too because I'm like, oh my God, look at you. Well, and not to point out like that I was oblivious, but to point out like that you are healthier. And I don't know that you're happier, but you must be happier.
Yeah, I think it's just so much easier going through life, right? Like just physically maneuvering through life is easier.
So do we want to tell the story about when we went down to New York City? I was pregnant with Zia.
Oh, yeah.
We just have adventures, and I think it's just always so much fun to go places and do things. You're always game to just whatever.
Yep.
And so we went down to New York City. I was very pregnant. I had Zia in August 10th, so it might have been like in July.
Yeah,
we
June
went
or
down
July.
to the city. We took the train, and I'm a big pregnant lady, and we're waiting to get on the train to come home. We went to a financial women's conference.
Yep.
And we saw Toy Story in Times Square, I think.
did.
We went to the movies.
Yep.
So we were waiting in
Well, if you've ever
Penn
taken the
Station.
train from Penn Station back to upstate New York, there's a huge line that snakes through the whole train station that you have to get in or you're not going to get a seat on the train. So we were pretty close to the front of the line and you were like, I'm hungry. I'm like, yeah, go get anything. I'll sit here with the bags. And you're constantly on your phone. So I yelled at you. I'm like, leave your phone here. Go get something to eat.
It was a shake. I wanted a chocolate shake.
Yep. So you dropped your phone in your bag and you took off. And I failed to see which direction you went off in. And they called for the train. So now we're going to load the train, and I have like 3 bags for each of us, and no Catherine. I pick up my phone to call you. The bag starts to vibrate. I'm like, yeah, she doesn't have her phone. So I'm like, well, what am I going to do? I'm just going to get on the train. She'll find me. So I get on the train with all these bags. I get a seat, and then I'm like worried. I'm worried. And there's people getting on, and there's people getting on, and there's people. And then I'm thinking, what happens if she doesn't get on the train? Like, she's stuck in New York City. Mark is going to kill me. People are getting on. Then everybody's coming this way, frontwards into the train. I'm trying to go backwards into the train against all the traffic to see if I can find you. And I jump off the train and I say, have you seen a really big pregnant lady with a white flowy dress on? He's like, yeah, she's looking for you. Is the conductor. He yelled at me. So, yeah, so we did find each other. But I was like, great.
Oh, my God. And my perspective, and I wasn't just wearing like a white flowy dress. I was wearing a sheer tulle dress over jeans short. And I'm hugely pregnant, like waddling down. And my perspective was I had my wallet, but I did not have my phone, and I just barreled through people. I was like elbowing. I'm like, I gotta get on the train. And of course, obviously, everyone is trying to get on the train. Like, but I'm special because A, I'm pregnant, and B, I don't actually have a ticket to get on the train because. And yeah, the conductor I saw like 3 times, and he was just like eye rolling me every time. Everyone hated me on that train, especially the lady who we ended up having to sit in front of. Do you remember her?
No, I don't.
Because she was just rude to me. I was like, I need to get on the train. She's like, yeah, we're all trying to get on the train. And I'm like, right, but I don't have anything. I don't have my bag. All I have is a chocolate shake and a wallet. It was this really stressful moment in time, but we figured it out and I found you.
Yeah, but your perspective was, oh, if the train would have taken off, I just would have spent another night in New York City. That would have been fun.
I love the adventure, and I would have been fine. I would have luckily I had my wallet. Now my phone is my wallet, so that would have been really bad. But I had a credit card, and I know Mark's number.
Well, here's what I was picturing is that I'm getting off the train with all of our bags because I don't see you on the train, and now you're on the train. Like, I didn't see that we were both either going to be on the train or both off the train. One of us was going to be in the opposite position.
Yeah, but I told the conductor, I was like, don't you leave this station. I told him that. I was like, don't you leave this station until both of us are on the train. And he was just like, find her, go up and down the aisles, yell her name. And I was going up and down the aisles, Jackie! And then the other part, too, is that they coordinate you, like, depending on where you're getting off. So that was the other disconnect. Like, I was thinking we're going to get off in Saratoga. They said, where are you going? I said, Saratoga. So they sent me to the Saratoga cart, but we were actually getting off in Albany, so you were at the other side of the train. So I was like all the way at the end yelling, Jackie! Where are you, Jackie? And it wasn't until, I don't even remember us reuniting. I don't know if we were off, what do you call that, the platform?
I don't remember either.
Or did we embrace in the middle of the train?
I don't remember. I think I was just like at our seats, but standing like looking. And I think you just came into the cart.
Like a flowing angel.
Yes. As a flowing pregnant angel. Then we do have some good adventures because our next one was going to the UN with a bus.
Oh my God,
with
another
a bus
crazy story.
full of women who were probably in their 60s or older. And it's 5 a.m. in the morning. And here we're the last 2 people to get on the bus. And here comes Catherine with Zia strapped to her, and these women, their eyes got as big as saucers, are like, there's a baby on the bus.
It was so much fun, and they all were just like completely caught off guard that I had this little infant. And I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? I want to go to the UN with the League of Women Voters, and I don't have childcare, or I'm breastfeeding. I mean, like, I had to bring the baby with me, and I wasn't going to miss out on the opportunity, And they're like, well, we don't know if you're going to be able to go to the UN with that baby. And I'm like, well, then I'll be in New York City. Like, it's fine. I will survive. But everyone was just really, it was strange. And I think that, like, that was such an interesting part of time because I brought Zia everywhere with me because she was just, like, always just strapped to my person. We went to a women's conference. Do you remember we went to, I don't know what event it was in the Capital Region, but it was like a luncheon or something, or it was a breakfast. And I brought the baby. I sat at y'all's table, and the baby made a noise, and everyone went, there's a baby here? There's a baby at brunch? I mean, it was just like, yes, it's a baby, and I'm a woman, and I'm working, and I got a baby. Anyway, we couldn't go to the UN. Like, I could go to the UN with her, but I couldn't
You couldn't go
go.
in the UN.
Yeah, I couldn't like go on the tour and everything because it's like ground zero. It's like not considered any state or country or like so to have an infant if something were to happen that's what they
Yeah.
told me. They were like this is like no man's land. So
Right. So if something were to happen to you, like what country would Zia be a citizen of? Well, I don't really kind of get
make any
anyway,
sense.
right? Like if something would have happened to you, we would have called Mark. He would have had papers that shows that she's a U.S. citizen. Why would she be stuck in this building for the rest of her life and not knowing what country she belongs to? I have no idea.
and again, I full circle go back to we have too many men in that building, in that taking up space in that industry.
Well, I love now, like, how old is Zia now? 4, 5?
She's 4.
4. And I say, don't you remember the time we went to the UN? Wasn't it so much fun? And she, like, looks at me like I got 3 heads. Like, what? What are you talking about,
yeah.
baby?
I mean, I took her everywhere. Like, that was before COVID. I had a baby with me all the time.
Like, it's a baby. What is she going to do? She's going to make a little bit of noise? Oh, well. But you still don't see, like, a ton of women taking their babies everywhere.
Yeah, or wearing them. Because I was even sort of like, do I bring the car seat? Do I just wear her? Like, and I always just like, I had a backpack and a baby. I was ready to go. If people want to get a hold of you, of the Shark Lady.
I'm on LinkedIn. Yep, as Jackie Sheffer. I'm on Facebook, is anybody on Facebook anymore? I guess that kind of dates me. And I am on Instagram.
Yeah.
I don't think I post a lot on Instagram, but I'm there like checking things out. I don't get on often, but when I do, I get all these cute little animals that I am constantly like pushing to Marcella.
Yeah,
like
she sees, she knows, she sends them.
Yeah.
But you and Brad and Jamie put on really awesome events. So how can people be informed about those types of things? Is there like a website or?
We do have a website. So if you just go to merrilynch.com and search for us, you can find us there. We do post our events on LinkedIn, so you can always look for them on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. This week's Saratoga Living After Hours segment is all about the event that I emceed last week for Renee Wellrath, and she produced an amazing event all around retention and engagement, HR, building a great culture, and I shared the stage with some powerhouse women. Like, oh my God, I should have brought a notebook to write down all the wisdom that was shared with me that night. Also, the energy in the room was so amazing. Putnam Place is a great spot to have an event like this, and I hope Saratoga Living produces some more events like that there because it was just so much fun. The food was great, which came from PDT. Anyway, the people on the panel were Renee Wellrath, who is leader in our region when it comes to HR, recruitment, employee retention. She was on the panel. Rachel Malik, who is a executive leadership coach. If you are a young professional who's trying to, scale the ranks in your corporate organization and you need some skills into learning how to like negotiate, how to put your best foot forward, how to get what you want out of this employer, you need to talk to Rachel Malik. I was overwhelmed by the amount of knowledge she dropped on us, and she is legitimately a great person to have in your back pocket. She could fit in your back pocket too. She's so adorable. I just want to put her in there and just bring her with me everywhere. All right, I was also joined on the panel by Sarah Delaney Vero, who left her corporate career, left her law firm to join Skidmore as VP of HR and General Counsel, and she shared a lot of her experience being a mom and working and leaving that to do this, and it was just like very eye-opening to me, and I love when people share their personal experience. I think it's so powerful for women to hear how other women are navigating that because it's really, really tough and nothing can prepare you for becoming a mom and having to figure out how to juggle all these things at the same time. All right, next up, the last but very not least, she really did sit on the end, but she was such a powerhouse. Oh my God, I'm so glad she had the mic for most of this event, was Yvonne Clark Rogers. She's the Director of DEI and Talent for Northeast Shared Services, which is a collective of top markets and Price Shopper. She is in charge of DEI and talent there, and she was incredible. Oh my God. She should have an event just for herself. And so I implore you, if you weren't able to attend that event, stay tuned because we're going to do it again, because I'm going to absolutely implore that Saratoga Living put on an event like this again. It was amazing to have all these people in the room. It was so special. I felt like people really shared. Like, they were vulnerable, they shared knowledge, wisdom. It was just incredible. So we'll put all of their links in the show notes, because you should absolutely reach out and connect with each of these women who are amazing, and they're right here in our backyard in the capital region, and that is freaking awesome. So that's all I have to say about that. Thank you for listening to this podcast. And if you want to connect with me, slide into my DMs on Instagram. My handle is Catherine Hover.